Hello everybody, welcome back to TMPC Aquatics. Today's the first episode of Rate My Reef. So we're rating, I think his name's Babak, but that could just be his username. I'll put a picture of his Instagram up here.
Hello, this is my Fluval Spec 60 litre. It's a Maidenhead Aquatic exclusive. It's basically like the Spec 60, the fresh water, but they've added on the marine light from the Fluval Evo. And yeah, so this is the tank. It's like the Fluval Evo, just like improved and a little bit taller, so it's 60 litres. And yeah, so what got me into this hobby is just like looking at some videos on YouTube. I've always been interested in like betta fish and just like marine fish in general, and just like, yeah, freshwater, marine water. I was even interested in some brackish water as well. Yeah, but then I finally decided on marine tank. Yeah, and as you could see, I have some corals. It's not too many, it's just a few, like 2 zoas, and then have a little zoa bit here, and one up here, next to my 2 clownfish. One of them's the Darwin clown, and the other one's just a regular Ocellaris. The black and white one is Ocellaris, but just the variety. Then there's just like little pieces of the GSP. It's actually closed up, and I'm not sure why. I think it might be the high phosphates, because I've been feeding quite a lot in my tank.
So the first thing to notice is obviously it's a nano system. It's only 60 litres, and exactly like I said, he's overfed the tank, which will produce algae. And as it's such a small tank, there's not a lot of space, there's not a lot of water volume to carry out the nutrients, so it's all sticking in that smaller place, so it's not as stable, which will probably answer your why is my corals not opening up, or why is there so much algae. And that is exactly why. The biggest mistake you can make is overfeeding. It's easily done. So yeah, just cut it down. Probably, I'd say, well, what I would say is get your cubes. So buy it and have a Tupperware box, smash it up into little pieces, and just feed one of them little pieces to a tiny little piece. Just feed that twice a day, about 5 times a week, and then give it 2 days of not feeding. So you just feed it to what your fish can eat at the end of the day, but left food will always create problems.
Feeding quite a lot in my tank, that's why it's like a little bit green, and like there was some hair algae before, but I tried to remove them with like a steel wire like this.
One thing I will say is the steel wire brush has got to go. You'll smash your glass up at the end of the day. Not smash it, but it'll scratch up with the steel. I'd recommend getting a magnet cleaner with the blades on it, or even a plastic one or a pad, and that'll do the same job as getting rid of your algae, probably quicker, and it won't scratch all your glass.
I set up my tank by using like dry rock and just dry sands, none of the like wet sand or the live sand. To be honest, there was no water in there for a long time, and then I added some water in it and some of this. This is bottled bacteria, and yeah, maybe took about a week or 2, and it was fully cycled. And I did test kits using the API test for marine tanks. Yeah, tested maybe like once every few days until I saw like maybe 3 or 4 like ammonia and nitrite spikes, and then when it was like down to 0 or 0.1, I added my first clownfish pair. It was these 2 actually, and they're still here as you can see. Yeah, and so my biggest mistake in the hobby was probably overfeeding. Yeah, because I was just told that maybe 1 cube of frozen food a day should be enough, but then I was recommended it's about half a cube every 2 days. So yeah, that explains the hair algae and all of those problems.
So as he mentioned, he set up his tank with bottled bacteria, which is fine. However, due to you not having any live rock or live sand, it'll take a lot longer for your your bacteria to build into your rocks and your sand, and also all your filter media. That could explain also why you keep getting algae, because your tank's constantly up, down, up, down, up, down, in terms of ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. So just tone it down a bit, you know, tone the feeding down. I think give it a couple of days, 5 days maybe, without feeding.
I think, as you can see, I have a fire fish in here. I also used to have a royal grandma as well, but the royal grandma actually passed away, but I'm not sure how. I think it got into a fight with the clownfish, and it lost, which is quite unusual, because usually the royal grandma is the one who wins and usually like kills the other fish. Yeah, but since the exclusion of the royal grandma, the firefish has been doing okay, and actually goes and hides in this small little hole down here.
So the royal grandma is a fairly shy fish, you know, it sticks to its corner. You know, any loud movements or sudden movements, or any fish goes near it and it runs away. Getting into a fight, I haven't seen it happen, but I do know they like their own space, and probably will protect it. And it's the same with the clownfish, you know, they host an area in your tank and protect it. So you could just do to stress, you know, it might not have the place that it wanted due to the clownfish, or the clownfish have been bullying it, which clownfish do a lot. It could have died to stress. It could have got in a fight, but my guess is that it's stressed out, can't find a place that it wants, the clown's bullying it, and it's died, which happens, you know. Everyone makes mistakes. It's his first tank at the end of the day, and it is a smaller tank, it's only 60 litres, so there isn't going to be many places for everything to have a home and be fine there. However, you never know, could have been a dodgy fish that you got sold, could have been stress, could have been anything. But yeah, that's my guesses.
So my favourite coral probably is the fire and ice zoa. I think, yeah, if I put, yeah. So that was with the blue light. It doesn't really show on camera as well as it does in person. But yeah, I have a power head, small power head. It's actually a USB power head. And this is how the like circuiting system and the wires work. So that's that one. And that's the settings. The settings controller.
So as you can see, the power head, in my opinion, should be higher. Obviously there's nothing in there, there's no corals that really need mass amount of flow to keep them alive and keep them moving, but I would keep it, and I'll probably explain the particles that you can see in the water. I'm not sure if it's just being fed and it's food, or it's the sand, but I'd keep it, because by looking at it I can't see any flow on the top, it's pretty still. So what I'd do is I'd move your power head up to the top and keep that water circulating around. It'll stop all them little bits and particles swimming about in your tank and make your tank look way nicer. And yeah, it'll give you another version of your tank. So that's my recommendation for it. What I'd recommend in his tank is that he gets a better light. Now, many people choose the Fluval option, you know, it's a well-respected brand. You got the days, the night settings, the storm settings, you can change it, you know, but I don't think it puts enough light out. Especially when he's good doing the white and blue mode, you know. Maybe if you had it on blue all the time it might be a bit different, but I don't think it puts enough light out to grow your corals properly. But if you like the fluval light, you like it, but I'd recommend keeping it on blue a lot longer in the day, and you probably see some coral growth then and a lot more things opening. Where if it's white and blue, you know, you're taking away the power of the blue. So I get a new light, I'd also just move your wave maker up. That's my recommendations for your tank, and also stop overfeeding. Feed small amounts more often rather than big amounts, and it'll save you all these little problems that you're having. Overall, nothing's really wrong with it. You know, they've got a bit of algae, but the fish are alive, the corals are alive. I found with my nano system that dosing helps a lot. You know, I had the corals and it was fine, but there wasn't really opening how I'd like it. You know, the half open. If you dose all for reef, you know, you can get a 250 milliliter bottle, which is way more than enough for a decent amount of time for your tank. You know, for about a tenner, and you'll see some big improvements. It also helps stabilize your water chemistry, which is what you need in a nano system. I like his tank. You know, I think for a first tank, you know, he's done the steps correctly, and you know, I like the structure of how he's done it. But yeah, that's just my recommendations of things to just improve it a little bit. So I'd get some blue. I get more blue in there, so either add another light or just add a light that's higher powered. I think the nicest ones are fairly good, which are on Amazon for about, I think you can get, for the size of his tank, probably about 100 quid. You know, they are actually cheaper than the fluval ones, and they do put out more power than the fluval ones. And to get some more blue in there, it'll help you see your coral colours better as well, and also will make them progress more and grow, and then you can get more corals in there, some torches, GSP, bigger batches GSP, you know. You know, nano systems are not the easiest, especially smaller 60 litres, but when you know what you're doing, it's his first tank at the end of the day, so for a first tank I rate it fairly highly. You know, just calm down and let it do its thing. But all together, I'd say for a first ever setup, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. You know, everything's alive at the end of the day, so nothing's really wrong. But to improve it, just up your light power, or even just more blue. Stop overfeeding, and probably get some alpha reef in there, and you'll see massive improvements. So just for a quick example, this is my nano tank. I've got an anemone back there, 2 clowns, 2 chromis. There is a royal grammar, but it's hiding. Some GSP, zoas down there. I have no idea what that is, to be honest with you. Bloodfire shrimp in the back there, hammer, some live rock with some mushrooms on it, and I believe these are zoas, but I am not 100% sure. There you go, there's royal grammar. Well, there was royal grammar. And then up there is a nice torch. And this was set up with quick start and then 2 clowns in after half an hour. And you know, it's looking alright. It's a 90 litre, so it is a little bit bigger than his, but I don't overfeed it. So, you know, obviously we've been through the ugly stages and got all the algae, but the hermit crabs and the snails have done a decent job of cleaning that up. So yeah, this is just a little example of what I mean if you have more power in the blue.